Number one, closest to me, Fernando Alonso, then Pierre Gasly and Charles Leclerc. Very warm welcome to you all. Charles, perhaps we could start with you. Very good to see you. Now, you cut a frustrated figure after the race in Las Vegas at the weekend. What were your main frustrations?
I don't want to go back to what happened in Vegas. Last two races of the season, and we need to do absolutely everything in order to get that constructors championship. That's all that matters. And whatever happened in Vegas, we discussed about it, and we are all good, which is the most important thing. I had no doubts about that because we've always had a really good relationship with Carlos, and we've had races where sometimes things don't go exactly the way we want. But the most important thing is that we discuss about it and we go forward. And it's very clear for both of us that we just want to win the constructors, and it's by working as a team that we'll achieve that, and I'm sure that there won't be any problems with it.
Just to clarify, so you and Carlos have cleared the air since then?
Exactly.
All right, well, look, let's talk a little bit more about this battle in the Constructors' Championship. You are 24 points behind McLaren. There are 103 still on the table. How do you see these next two races in terms of competitiveness from your point of view?
I think that realistically here we are going to it's going to be a bit more of a difficult weekend. However, it's a sprint weekend as well, and if we do things really right from the first few laps, and that the car is in the right place from the first laps in FP1, it can make a big difference, and much bigger than any of the car characteristics we may have seen or anticipate for the weekend. So I think that on paper it doesn't seem like it's going to be our strongest track. However, things can still turn our way, and we are super motivated to prove us wrong.
But irrespective of what happens in the Constructors' Championship, or indeed the Drivers' Championship, because you can still finish P2, how will you look back on the 2024 season?
I think if we compare this one to the previous years, we've done a good job in maximizing the points and minimizing the loss in races where we have struggled as a team. And that's a really positive thing, which I think in the past wasn't necessarily the case. I think as a team we were a lot more vulnerable to what was happening around the team, and it was making us going a bit up and down, emotionally speaking. And now we are a lot more solid. That doesn't mean that it's good enough yet, because obviously, as a matter of fact, we've lost the Drivers' Championship last weekend, even before. But we are a more solid team, and we are going in the right direction. So I think it's been a positive season, and we are going into the right direction.
All right, Charles, thank you for that. Pierre, let's come to you now. Disappointing end in Vegas, but let's look at the positives. That brilliant P3 on the grid. Do you and the team understand where that performance came from now?
It was a pretty nice qualifying. I think overall the last few weekends have been, we've been in a better shape since Austin. We brought some new parts. We've managed to get to Q3 the last 4 weekends, and it seems like we found quite a nice flow. I think in Vegas we just made the best out of the conditions. It was quite tricky, street track, very cold. Got in a nice place with the car, and when we got to Q3 we had a single lap, but really managed to put everything to it, and it put us in a great place. So it was a great achievement, especially looking back. Bahrain, first race of the year, I lined up in 20s. We were absolutely nowhere. So when you look at all the evolution and development, definitely shows we're heading in the right direction, and it's definitely positive.
And what about this weekend? Because it's a quick track, it's a smooth track, and you qualified very well here last year. Are you coming here with a lot of confidence?
Yeah, I think we can be confident. We are in the fight, for 6 in the championship. We know the target, we know who we're fighting. Haas and AlphaTauri are also competitive. They've showed to be, in that top 10 most of the last few races, and It's gonna be a tight fight, but I expect an exciting one. So I'm sure we'll be in the mix, and I'm looking forward to these last 2 weekends.
And Pierre, you made reference there to the improvements you've made to the car since Bahrain, but can we get your thoughts on 2024 as a whole from a team perspective? Because it's been one of transition, isn't it? There's been staff movements and you're changing teammate and all these things. How do you reflect on the last 12 months as a whole?
I would say it was a very disappointing start of the season. We expected it. We had a rough winter. Didn't manage to get the car in the place we wanted to start in Bahrain. But once you get the tools you have at the start of the year, you got to work your best way with it. And I must say, I've been very impressed with the team in the way they've managed to turn things around. The understanding, spotting where the limitations of the car, finding solutions to it. And I must say, I'm definitely more confident than ever into going to 25 with a clear idea of where we're heading, the changes we're gonna make. I definitely believe the car is gonna be in a much better place to start with, and just bring confidence to all of us. So there have been a lot of changes. I think a lot of positive changes internally, which are not very obvious from the outside, but I think we're shaping up a much better team start of 25 compared to where we were a couple of months ago.
So the foundations are now in place for you to move forward?
Yeah, I mean, there's still a big work ahead, like looking at the top four, they still feels like they are in a different league, especially when come race day. But it will be definitely starting, hoping to close that gap and hopefully see us able to fight more consistently in the top 10 and hopefully in the top 5 on some occasion.
Okay, Pierre, thank you for that. Fernando, let's come to you. Talking of building foundations, something you said before the summer break was that you wanted to use the second half of 2024 to put the foundations in place for a better 25. Do you feel you've done that?
It goes up and down for everybody. Difficult to be sure of that, but I think we didn't manage to improve the car much throughout the season. So we started quite strong, but we are now in a position that we're struggling to be in Q3 in some occasions. But at the same time, all those difficulties, I think, probably are teaching us a lot of lessons, which we will apply into next year's car, and that will be probably the biggest positive aspect of this second part of the year. That even if we didn't succeed on putting much performance on the car, I think it's well understood what we are struggling at the moment, so that will be applying into 25.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the struggles? Because you've had a pretty rough ride of it since Singapore, haven't you?
Yeah, I think even before that, I think back when Singapore were just good Sundays, thanks to a good qualifying on Saturday, a straight circuit, we maximized, I think, the opportunities there, and some of our rivals, maybe didn't perform to perfection there. So, I think after the summer break, we've been struggling a little bit, but the team is still working flat out to bring upgrades. And as I said, even if not all of them, succeed to race in the following weekends, I think there is a clear understanding now of where the path is into next year's car. So that's the aim.
You said after the race in Vegas that you were happier with the car on the Sunday. Does that give you a little bit of confidence coming into this track, a track where you've actually gone very well at? Yeah, definitely. I think Vegas was difficult to understand the car and the low temperatures and to get the grip, the confidence, high speed, the walls are very close. But then on Sunday, already in the laps to a degree, the car felt much more alive. And on the race itself, I think we gained some positions and we were happier. So, I left Vegas, thinking that, I want to jump in the car again and try. So, tomorrow in FP1, I will be happy. All right, Fernando, thank you very much for that. Let's now open this to the floor. We'll start with the broadcasters, please. Who's first? Yeah.
Thank you. Roldan Rodriguez from DAZN Spain. A question to Fernando. The last week you mentioned that nobody has been able to beat Max Verstappen on titles fight. My question is, would you, if you have the car?
Well, that will be a very nice thing to try, to be in a position to fight for the World Championship. At the moment, we are not in that position, and next year probably is going to be difficult, but hopefully in 26, with the new rules, we all have a better chance to try at least. And so far Max has proven, not having weak points, basically, and has been always delivering the job on Sundays and scoring, so many points when the car was good, but so many points when the car was not good as well. And that's the strength, to win a championship. And you always think that, if you have a chance, maybe things could be more difficult for him.
Thanks for that,
David Croft, Sky Sports F1. Charles, question to you. To move forward to the last couple of races of the season and to work as a team probably requires trust and faith in your team and your teammate. So what has been said since Vegas to give you trust and faith in your team and your teammate?
Nothing special, but at the end, I don't even need that. As I said, we have a really good relationship with Carlos, and sometimes I have overstepped the lines, and sometimes he did, and then it only requires a discussion between us two, and we look ourselves in the eye, and we know each other since a very long time now, and we understand each other very, very quickly. So I have no doubts. Sometimes we need these kind of things to reset a little bit, and I have no doubts that going into the last two races of the season, there won't be any problems or whatsoever. Because at the end, it's in the benefit for both of us to try and win that Constructors. We know that an opportunity like that doesn't happen very often, and we've got to do absolutely everything on both of our side in order to try and win that, and we need each other in order to win that, because it's not going to be easy. This weekend is not going to be easy, and by working as a team, we can maybe achieve that.
Okay, thank you. Who's next? Canal Plus. Margot.
Bonjour, Margot Lafitte, Canal Plus. Question for Fernando. We're doing a footage on the pleasure, the joy of driving. Could you describe if it's for you directly linked to the performance, no pleasure in an F1 car, and maybe you can compare also with the lighter cars you drove in the past?
Interesting question. Probably I have to think a little bit deeper, but no, I don't think that the pleasure of driving is linked to the performance only. As sometimes you come to a circuit or to even a go-kart track and you are alone on track and you are not fighting anyone, and you have a lot of joy and you have a real good day. So, and sometimes you have a car that is not really well set up, or you have a huge understeer, or we all, as I said, now you jump in a rental car that is just self-steer to the left or whatever, or it's just not really square, the chassis, and you still have a lot of fun just fighting against that weakness of the car, and trying to make the car turn, the same way left to right in some corners. So I think it's just overcoming the challenge sometimes of what the car is able to do, which produces satisfaction and joy driving. And I think the adrenaline and the freedom when you are behind the wheel of choosing what to do, at what speed you want to approach the corner, when you want to brake, 30 meters later, 30 meters earlier. So all those kind of decisions that you make, by instinct, is a sense of freedom that I think increases the joy of driving, whatever car. So I don't think it's related to performance. And then comparing different eras of Formula One, for sure, I think the early 2000s were the best cars to drive. They were very light, very reactive, the feedback that you get from the car when you have less sophisticated tools is much more pure than what we have now, that is all filtered a little bit by all the technology we have. So I still think that those cars were more fun to drive.
Thank you, Fernando. Next, please. Yeah.
Roland Rodriguez, DAZN Spain. A question to Charles this time. You are doing a very good season and reaching the maximum points in your career. But I want to know how important is for you to be second in the championship of drivers.
At the end, and I always say the second is the first or the loser, and you never really are excited about a second or a third or a fourth place. However, having said that, obviously second place on a weekend like on a year like this would mean a lot in a way, because I think it's not been an easy year. The priority remains the constructor. However, the second place in the drivers will be a nice bonus. So it's not like I don't care at all, but it will be a good thing to be finishing second after a year like this.
Okay, thank you, Charles. Any more from the broadcasters? Yes, Rosanna, please.
Rosanna Tennant, BBC 5 Live. A question to you all. Rui Marquez, the race director, will be presiding over F1, F2 and F1 Academy this weekend. In the past, that workload has been deemed too high. Charlie Whiting stepped down from all those responsibilities previously. Is there any risk for the three of you this weekend and other drivers on the grid having somebody in charge of so much across one weekend?
I find it very, very difficult to judge. I mean, it's not like we actually know how much work there is for these three categories. I mean, at least personally, I don't know that. So yeah, I think it's very, very difficult to judge whether that is too much or not. I guess he will be the first one to experience it, but the first race has gone really well. So and he's been super open-minded in listening to us drivers and doing things in the right way, and that was very positive. But concerning the workload, I think it's very difficult to judge or to say anything from our side.
I think I fully agree with Charles, join his points, and yeah, as he said, I think the first race weekend has been very positive, very objective and open for discussion, and very factual as well. So I'm sure whatever comes out of this weekend, if it's, if doesn't allow him to be at a F1 standards, I'm sure there'll be changes in the future. So at the minute, yeah, we'll see. But as I say, it's been a good start, and we'll see how it goes the next 2 weekends.
Yeah, not much to add.